Hi, I'm not dead. I just didn't have internet for 2 whole days. It felt a little bit like I fell off the face of the earth in the best possible way. I want to tell you where we went and what we did, but far more than that, I want to talk about where my head was at over the last 2 days and some of the thoughts that I'm processing. Maybe we can process them together a little bit. So it was scheduled to be 100 degrees in Portland, Oregon, and so we thought, well, let's escape to the coast, as Portlanders are wont to do. We used to live on the Central Oregon coast, but I wasn't really up to driving 3 hours. And so my 21-year-old who's home from college said, why don't we go to our favorite beach, which is Oceanside outside of Tillamook. And my youngest kid's about to turn 15, and so we said, George, you're coming with us. The 3 of us are going. And also we decided to bring Martha, who had never been to the ocean before. She'd never been to the beach. So we thought we're gonna bring her with us. We booked a little motel that was dog friendly. It was cheap, it was available. And we said, okay, let's go, let's do it. It's less than a 2-hour drive from my house, and low tide was gonna be at 1 p.m. And I was like, yes, perfect timing. And it was a good low tide. Oceanside has the best agates, I think, on the Oregon coast. Oregon, if y'all aren't from here, Oregon doesn't really have like a lot of seashells. It's not like going to Sanibel in Florida or something. But man, oh man, Oceanside has really good agates. And then there's also a tunnel to like a secret beach that you can get to. And we love it. Always been our favorite beach. And so we arrived and the sun was shining. It was gorgeous. It was in the 60s, and we walked up and down the beach. Martha had like the best smell-o-vision. She was a little bit overwhelmed with how amazing everything was. She did get a little bit tuckered out because she's only, like 9 pounds and her legs are real short, but she met lots of other dogs. A typical day at the beach. My plan was, okay, I have 3 videos that are filmed and edited and ready to upload. I ran out of time to upload them before we left for our trip. And I thought, okay, I'll get those uploaded to my main and my side YouTube channels. And while we're there, we'll film a couple. I'll film my members only video for the week, and B wanted to film a video with me. And I was like, this is great. We'll take the afternoon after we're tuckered out from the beach, and the kids, we can get, get a shower, get the sunscreen and the sand off, and kids can take a nap and I can work for a while. Well, we drove down from Oceanside to Netarts, which is just like a tiny little village. And we checked in, and the gal at the check-in said, just so you know, the internet's being a little bit squirrely. And I was like, uh-oh. So we get into the hotel room, and by squirrely, she means non-existent, right? I tried for half an hour to log in. I had no bars. So if I stood in our room out on the deck in the far corner and I like hung my phone out a little bit, I got one bar, and I could get just enough service to post a message to YouTube and be like, hey guys, I'm not sure I'm gonna get any videos out today because the internet is out and I do not have service. And I thought, you know what, I need to take this as a sign from the universe. I don't really believe in like cosmic signs, and I definitely don't believe in manifested or whatever, but I do believe sometimes things happen for a reason. Sometimes things are meant to happen. And so clearly it was meant for me to not be working yesterday and today. And so while my kids were showering and napping, I walked down around the front of the little motel that we were staying at to the deck chairs with this overlook over Netarts Bay. And there are barn swallows swooping, and there were, all the gulls. You could watch the sunshine and all of the ripples from the bay as the tide is coming in. And I had my knitting and no internet at all. And I just sat there with my sun hat on and my knitting, and I just was left alone with my own thoughts. Whew, y'all, that's rough. That's a rough place to be. It's hard to not have anxiety. People, I think, know that I work 7 days a week, basically 70 hours a week, and it's not sustainable, and nobody should practice what I preach. And I realize I have this grind set that I'm on for no reason, I don't know why I'm doing it. I just feel a sense of urgency to share what's happening and to get people to want to organize and to resist fascism effectively, to care for each other. And I want to talk about what's happening, not in a way to just consume people's time, but to prompt them to act, to prompt them, to help people realize that they have agency and they have power. But I struggle with the fact that I make my living on social media, and I feel more often than not that the 24-hour news cycle is really toxic. We joke in our household that it's a psyop, right? That it is an organized effort to get you to sit and doom scroll on your phone. I've put out multiple videos where I talk about how doom scrolling is not activism, how watching pundits break down and analyze the news is not actually resistance. In permaculture, we say set limits to consumption. That's part of that third ethic, right? Our ethics are earth care, people care, and fair share. Part of this third ethic, set limits to consumption. And I think about that a lot when it comes to absorbing breaking headline news, breaking news, or even just news analysis. Like, do we need to know every story that crosses the headlines? Or is that a way to keep us passive and occupied, consuming content rather than taking action, rather than taking ownership of this country, caring for our communities, and like spending our lives doing worthwhile things? For a long time, I was a real Luddite. I was one of those people who didn't have a cell phone for many, many, many years. I actually only got a cell phone way late in the game because I was going to RollerCon and I realized I was going to be in Las Vegas for a week and I wouldn't have had any way to contact my family. So I ended up buying a cell phone for that. But for ages before then, I resisted having one. Yeah, I was making YouTube content, but I didn't own a cell phone. I'm a little bit of a Luddite. And so having this opportunity yesterday to have no cell service, when I got down to the bay and I was out on the deck chair and I'm knitting, I got like one bar. And so I did take a couple of pictures and I posted on Instagram. And then when I had my dinner, we didn't actually drive anywhere for dinner. We walked to the little grocery store that is 2 doors down from where we were staying, and they had homemade samosas. So we got samosas and ice cream, and I got a beer. People who know me know that I really hate IPAs, but people in Oregon love IPAs, so every beer was an IPA. But I got a really good one from Pelican, and so I sat out there and I'm drinking my beer, eating my samosa, and I scrolled Instagram for just a few moments while the service was good, and I immediately regretted it because all of the stories came flooding back, right? And I thought, is this helping anything? Is this helping me fight fascism? To be paralyzed by reading these news stories, to be filled with grief in this moment? Do I need to expose myself to this kind of content all of the time, constantly, every single day? Because that's what social media tells us. That's what all of the corporate media and the 24-hour news cycle tells us, is that you have to be on top of breaking news. And then if you're not, somehow you're not doing right? You have to be constantly anxious or constantly filled with grief, and you can't set limits to consumption when really we all should be. Yesterday, the universe decided that it was going to set limits for me, but I need to have the self-control to be able to set limits for myself. When I was a teenager, I read this book called Your Money or Your Life, and then also around the same time, I saw the documentary called Escape from Affluenza. And one of the big takeaways from both of those is thinking about your life in terms of life hours. You get a limited number of life hours, and how are you going to spend them? Are you going to fritter away your life hours doom scrolling, reading everybody's endless think piece, watching people argue with each other, debate bros, debating each other, watching pundits do their punditry? Like, is that helping us live our life in a way that is in alignment with our values? Is it sucking our time away from us? Is it sucking our life hours away from us? Is it causing us to spend those hours here when we should be spending them over here on community, on protest, on organizing, on working to build a better world? And for me yesterday, I just thought, like, yeah, this is the universe telling me that I have been on the right track for the last several weeks, pondering this issue and trying to realign my content. And maybe I'm not even going far enough yet, because I don't want to be somebody who's distracting everybody from the good work that they need to be doing. I want to be inspiring people to step out and do that good work. I don't want to be somebody who is keeping folks passive, keeping folks in front of a screen when the world is out there, our neighbors are out there, nature is out there, our life can be spent out there. And what is that balance that we need to strike to be informed enough so that we know where to resist and we know where the needs are and we know how to take action, but not sucked in so that we spend our life hours poorly. I'm telling you, watching that nest of barn swallows outside my hotel room yesterday was time better spent than reading about whatever Donald Trump was crashing out over on Truth Social. I would really love to know, how are you after a year and a half of all of this, partitioning your time, spending your life hours? What is working? What is helping you? What is helping you access your own power and agency? Are you doing things differently than you were in January or March of 2025? And what does that look like? I would love to know, because I'm still working it out.